Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast, as always, presented to you by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, and of course, Meldon Law also sponsors Steve Spurrier, and we're going to again start out with him today. He was here for a celebration of sorts, for the 1-year anniversary. A celebration luncheon, and we had an unbelievable time Thursday night.
It was a wonderful time, and as usual, I think the food was the most outstanding part of it. Our chef Mark and the people that work here, we had a buffet line, and everyone that was here, I think we had around 650 people or so through the night. So it was a wonderful occasion. Had all the media boys had their little room back here.
We had fun.
Had about 8 or 10 media guys. And University Athletic Department people, Jay Jacobs and his gang of guys were here. So it was a good night. Shane Matthews, Chris Doring, James Bates, Jimmy Ray Stevens, our offensive line coach. I introduced him as the winningest offensive line coach in Florida football history.
That's a true
fact, that's a true statement. So we had a fun time here last Thursday night.
Yeah, it was really great. And by the way, just to let you know, we're going to do Coach Spurrier's segment now, but a little later in the show, Ernest Graham is going to join us, which has a lot of significance, obviously, because his son committed in the 2024 class to Florida, the number 2 linebacker in the country. Big get for Florida. We'll talk to him about that. But I just want to talk to you quickly about Ernest as a player. I mean, I know you loved him as a player.
Yeah, Ernest, that 2000 season, I think, was probably his best. We won the SEC, and I know against Auburn, I don't know how many yards he had, but maybe 100 or so. We got the lead on those guys, and when we got the lead, we usually were able to run out the clock. And that's what Ernest did that game in 2000, which was the last SEC championship we won. And then, of course, Urban got 2 more after that. And then that's been it. Yep. So we need to get back in that winners category.
I'm wondering what you think when you see all this stuff that's going on with recruiting. I mean, obviously that new building is important, but man, it would have been nice when you were here if they had that kind of building.
Yeah, but we weren't that far behind everybody else.
True.
Georgia didn't have an indoor when I was here. A few schools did here and there. But, facilities are very important. Recruiting is extremely important. But there's other things, too. There's other things called attitude and effort and teamwork and players loving each other and good ball plays and bad ball plays. And you've seen it all as a writer and been watching the Gators since the 60s, right?
62.
So when you see a team out there that's got players that know how to execute good ball plays, got a chance to win.
Well, a couple of your teams that did execute a lot of ball plays were teams that probably don't get talked about enough, but they're going to be honored this year at the same game of the 92 and 97 teams, which is really cool because those teams did what they did was great.
Yeah, it was sort of my idea, Pat. I talked to our athletic directors, and I said, let's bring back our 92 team and our 97 team, the Kentucky game, September 10. I said, now, neither one of these teams won the SEC, but let me tell you what they did. The 92 team opened up with 2 losses in the first 3 games, Mississippi State and at Tennessee and at Mississippi State. But we regrouped. We took Jason Odom.
Mississippi State was that rare Thursday night game.
Yeah, we got clobbered up there, 30-6 or so. But anyway, we regrouped, and Jason Odom wanted a red shirt with Danny Werfel and all the rest of the guys. And I said, Jason, you got to play. We had nobody else to play. So we had Reggie Green and Jason Odom, 2 true freshmen offensive tackles. Right. We regrouped a little bit. Eric Ritt got the guys going, and Shane, it was his senior year. And defense got better. We won 7 straight games after losing 2 of the first 3. And then, of course, we had the big win over the Georgia Bulldogs, 26-24. And, in fact, Pat, people always ask me what was my favorite win. That was it.
Really?
Yeah. It was the only one they were favored. That was the only game
right?
they were favored. And, even the one we lost, we were favored. But we beat them 26-24. And the bus ride home was the best bus ride ever. I may have had Jerry sneak a cold beer or 2 on the bus ride home because Tennessee lost to South Carolina that day.
Wow.
They lost earlier in the day, 25-24.
Yeah, I was going to say it was.
So
I know it
all
was a
we
close
had
game.
to do was beat Vandy the next week to win the first ever Eastern Division of the SEC and play Alabama in a championship game. Of course, we almost beat those guys.
Yep.
Didn't work out, but we came back and won the Gator Bowl and finished number 10 in the nation. So for that team to achieve that, I thought was very good. And then the 97 team, that's the only one that lost to Georgia and LSU.
I know.
Guess what? There was their only 2 losses. Regrouped a little bit. Doug Green, Noah Brandeis, Fred Taylor, of course, instrumental then. And our defense was really good. And they didn't lose again after that. And beat FSU. The only time I think the Gators have beat a number 1 team in the country in the swamp was that year. And then beat Penn State in the Gator Bowl. That team finished 4th in the nation. So when you look at the overall 10,
And these were the down
10-2,
years.
yeah, 10-2 and 4th in the nation. No, don't tell me that's a bad year. But we got some Gators. And Spurrier ain't won another SEC in about 3 years now. He's lost it. But, you can't win them all. But these guys hung in there and played out the season and represented the Gators in a championship way.
Well, you talk about how your favorite game was that 92 Georgia game. There are a lot of Gator fans out there that will tell you their favorite game ever was the 97 FSU game because of what happens, what happened at the end of that game. And I mean, I used to remember just it was hard to believe what was going on there. And I remember you coming out of you did a little interview on the side, and you had the game ball, and you were trying to throw it to me, but I think I had my hands all occupied, so I couldn't catch it.
Well, Noah Brandeis walked off with one of the game balls. He went out and took a knee after Dwayne Thomas got the interception to ice the game. But Doug Johnson hitting Jaquez Green on a little curl and go. Yeah. And people said that was a nice call you made. I didn't make that call. Dougie made it.
Yep.
Dougie loved to give him the curl and go. But that
well,
time
he tries to tell the story that you explained this play you wanted to run, and then when he got out there, he didn't have any idea what it was, so he just called the curl and go.
Yeah, he was at the event the other night, Ronald McDonald House, black tie, red shoe dinner at the O-Dome, and we were talking about that game a little bit. And Doug looks like he can still play.
I know.
He's in good shape and ready to go. And that was 25 years ago. So we're going to honor the 92 and 97 team. No SEC championships, but number 10 in the nation and number 4 in the nation. And that's way better than we've done lately around here.
And as we know, it would be great if Florida was ranked 10th now, but they're not even ranked. In fact, if you add up and go down the list where they – in terms of the number of votes they got, and the AP poll came out today, they would be number 38 in the country. So, I mean, that's what people think of this team. And that's the AP. That's not the coaches poll. That's the writers. That's what they think of it. I think it'll be a lot better than 38th in the country. But,
I do too.
It's just – you talked about I know you're a big believer in discipline. And this was a stat that Billy Napier said today that stood out to me on his press conference. He said, we want to get to a point where we have one penalty every 30 plays. So I went and looked it up. I looked up the stats on Google and everything, and I did the math. Florida last year committed a penalty every 9 plays. How can you have any kind of a semblance of an offense if you're making a penalty every 9 plays?
We probably had a penalty every 9 plays, but we probably missed a tackle every 3 plays. Somebody missed one or didn't give much effort. Our tackling was not good. And,
I think they were like 120th in the country in missed tackles.
Yeah. I know our coaching staff here now really emphasizing how to tackle. There's a right way to tackle and wrong way. And so our guys are using proper fundamentals and effort, and that's how you become good tacklers.
I remember one year you asked the media boys to come out to watch tackling practice because you'd had a really bad tackling game, and it worked. I mean, those guys felt the pressure of all these guys watching them, and it helped them get better tackling.
Well, that's why you have practice. Work on what you're not very good at, and then you repeat. John Wooden, my favorite coach of all time, he said repetition is the law of learning and the key to consistency. So if you tackle well in practice, you'll tackle pretty well in the game.
Yeah, with all that's going on over at Florida right now, it's kind of weird. It's almost like practice has been, that's not what people want to hear about. They want to hear about all these recruits that are coming in. But those guys can't help them this year. They've got to, those guys are going to help them next year, and I think they're building a great foundation. But that's what you have to do is kind of build that foundation, don't you?
Yeah, and the new facility is somewhat open now. I think yesterday afternoon they had a few people in, took some pictures. It's not 100% complete, but I believe they are moving over from the old football building in the stadium there, where I'm at, and they'll be moving in this week and next week, and it'll be ready to go hopefully by the first game, I think.
Who's going to have the coach's office over the stadium? Maybe you should have that.
No, I think they'll probably give it to one of the either women's sports or whoever. But
it's a nice office.
Yeah,
like
they're all nice offices over there. I got one that's just fine for me over there on the
it's
other.
It's got a TV.
Third
That's
floor.
all you need.
Yeah.
You can watch the golf channel whenever you want.
Well, I got most of the trophies and everything down here at the restaurant now, so I don't have as many visitors as I once used to have.
Absolutely, but you do have some. Let me ask you this question, because I wrote about this story, this for a story on Gators Wire today, about whether what you did in your bowl game has any effect on the next season. Like, a lot of players will tell me that 95 Nebraska affected 96 because they were more fueled. They wanted to get ready to go.
Oh, I don't know about that. We did get Bobby Stoops. Bobby Pruitt got the head job at Marshall.
Right.
And there's a coach that, under me, he and Bobby Stoops are probably achieved the most of all the assistants that worked under us here at Florida. But anyway, Bobby Pruitt got the Marshall job, and Bobby Stoops came in. And I think we tackled a lot better than we did the Nebraska game. But, going into that Nebraska game, we were number one, I think, in the SEC in defense, total defense. That 95 team, I don't think we had a close game at all. And then we got clobbered by Nebraska. And sometimes that happens. So it was a lot of same players, but still we had a lot of seniors on that 95 team that did not get to enjoy the 96 season. But both years were very similar, 12-1, 12-1.
Yep.
And one of them, it happened to just work out to be the national champ, and the other one had to finish second in the nation.
Yeah, absolutely. You were talking about, you had a great trivia question for the Media Boys the other day. How many defensive coordinators won the SEC with you? And I think we got most of them, but I think there was one that people forgot.
Jim Bates?
Jim Bates was the first one,
yes,
I count that one.
That's James Bates' dad. In fact, James was talking about growing up a coach's son. And, his dad, I hired him, Jim Bates, and after the first year, he got a chance to go pro. It's not even a coordinator. I think he went as an assistant coach somewhere. And then Richmond George, my O-line coach, after the second or third year, was it? Yeah, third year. He got a chance to go to the Dolphins, and that's what gave Jimmy Ray Stevens a chance. Back in those days, assistant coaches, if they got to go to the NFL, they said, man, I can't bypass this. I got a chance to go to the NFL. And then after they go, Richmond George said, Coach, I messed up. I said, I know you did. I said, you're the head O-line coach. He went down there and they had two guys, I think he had the guards or something. But anyway, I don't know. It was a lure about going coaching the NFL. And, of course, the salaries back then were not much at all for assistant coaches.
Yeah, they weren't.
I mean, those guys were making.
But they get on that pension. That's what I think a lot of guys.
NFL?
Yeah, they get kind of.
Yeah, if you can coach 10 or 15 years, it's good pension money and all that. But anyway, that was just the way it was back then. Nowadays, the line coach here has got to be making $1 million, I guess.
Yeah, probably close.
Richmond George was, I think, making 35 or 40, something like that.
All right, you got anything else you want to talk about? Oh, I wanted you to tell the story you told us the other night about what when you talked to the women's basketball team up here at Advisors.
Well, we were talking about doing things for the first time in school history.
Right.
And I've been very fortunate to come to Florida when there wasn't much ahead of us. 9 wins and 5 SEC wins was the most in school history.
Yep, it was.
So every time we won 10, 11, 12, and SEC wins 6, 7, 8, 9, it was all first in school history. To me, that was more fun than, say, coaching at Ohio State And guess what? We won our 15th national championship.
Right.
Everybody's going to forget about the 15th guy or at Alabama or one of those things. But when you do something for the first time in school history, to me, that's pretty neat. So I was telling Kelly Ray Finley, your women's basketball has a chance to do more than any other sport at Florida. As we all know, they've just not been very good.
No.
Nobody in particular to blame. But Kelly Ray, I think she has done some excellent recruiting and transfer portal and all that. So her team came in for dinner, and they were dressed up. It was like prom night or something. They had their dresses on and high heels, and she asked me to tell them that story about what the opportunity they have for first time in school history. We've never won an SEC, hadn't won an SEC tournament. I don't know how far they've gone in the big tournament. But I think Kelly Ray wants to plant the seed that we can win big here in women's basketball. Brian Shelton, men's tennis coach, I talked to his group in 2019, and then we had the COVID year. Then I think the next year they won the national championship for the first time ever. And he's done an amazing job the last couple of years with men's tennis. But I look for women's basketball to take off starting this year.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be exciting. A bunch of really big players that are big time transfers. So we'll see how that gets going. Anything else you got for us, Coach?
Oh, that's about it right now. But just want to mention the 92 and 97 team. Pass the word. We're just getting it out. We're going to meet at the indoor facility at 3 o'clock on the day of the game. The Kentucky game's at 7 that night.
Right.
And we do our little usual between the first and second quarter. I'll have to talk real fast, talking about two different teams. But hopefully we can get a lot of the guys back here. I know Doug Johnson, Noah Brandeis, they'll be out there in front of the line. And hopefully we can get Fred Taylor maybe come back. Jaquez Green, I think, is coaching up in Georgia.
He is, yeah.
And Dwayne Thomas, who got the interception.
Yep.
We got to give those defensive guys a little plug also. But looking forward to seeing those guys. I think it's neat to honor teams that maybe didn't win a championship, but, man, they played to the finish. They finished the season and fourth in the nation, and the other team 10th in the nation, and go from there.
Yeah, those are two of my favorite teams just
They really
because
are.
of what they were able to do.
I
There's
agree.
no question about it. All right, we have to take a break. We'll come back with, of course, our hand law starting lineup, and, of course, Coach Spurrier's appearances presented by Meldon Law. They won't back down. We'll be right back. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
If you can smell the football coming this way, you know that one of the things that is a big part of any season is a membership in the Gainesville Quarterback Club. That includes both in-person meetings and Zoom experiences for out-of-town Gator fans. That gives you access to all the great speaker presentations, as well as tailgates and special occasions such as trips hosted by the Gator Nation's oldest Gator Club. Some of the speakers coming up include Scott Strickland, the athletic director at the University of Florida, David Cutcliffe, new Gator play-by-play man Sean Kelly, Dari Noka, Chris Doring, and Urban Meyer. Yeah, he's supposed to come. Email the club at membership@qbclub.org or call me and I'll get you to the right people. You'll be glad you did. Pat Dooley's Story Time is brought to you by Eastlake Pediatrics. Nobody knows how to provide pediatric health care for little Gators better than Dr. Mike and the other board-certified pediatricians and the pediatric nurse practitioners of Eastlake Pediatrics. They have been providing personalized health care to the children of Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties since 2004. And with the recent addition of Dr. Chris, who is also board certified in sports medicine, they are now offering care for youth sports injuries as well. To learn more about Eastlake Pediatrics, call 727-372-6760. And to get to know them better, listen to Dr. Mike and Dr. Carey on their Peds and Pop podcast on multiple platforms. All right. We are back here on another Duly Noted podcast, and enjoyed Coach Spurrier's segment. Always do, but I mean, it was really interesting stuff today. We do know that right now it is time for our hand law starting five, and we always look forward to the hand law starting five to start the program usually, but because Coach Spurrier was here for something else, we wanted to go ahead and do that starting lineup. Yeah. It's not technically the starting lineup because we already started, but now usually this is the time I do banter and talk about what I got going on. I'm going to Destin tomorrow, so that'll be cool. Going to be there and speak to the Destin, the Emerald Coast Gator Club, and then on Thursday the Pensacola one. So I look forward to that. Yeah, I'll say hello to everybody, for all your relatives. All right, the starting lineup, of course, is presented by Hand Law, a Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available, as always, for consultation in Jacksonville. We appreciate Chris Hand. And let's start off with number one, which is the number one story right now in the Gator Nation is recruiting. It's not practice. Practice is going along, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but it is recruiting and what's going on when you have what I call a four-dog night, which is they get four players that are 4 stars. That's pretty impressive. And again, they keep piling up these 4 stars. And here's the thing that you have to understand about the way the recruiting rankings do it. They give such weight to the 5 stars that if you have one 5-star, for example, I think it's Tennessee. I may be wrong on that, but somebody is ahead of Florida, and they have 1 5-star and 8 4-stars. Florida has 18 4-stars. They don't have a 5-star yet. Hopefully they get one, but the bottom line is they're bringing in 18 guys that you think – and, again, you're not going to hit on all of them, but this is what they're doing. And, obviously getting Kelby Collins out of Alabama. It was down to Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Huge win for Florida. Will Norman, another IMG. That's 3. Before Napier got here, there were 0.0. Now there's been 3 from IMG, Kamar James from Orlando, and, of course, Miles Graham, who committed, but for the next year's class. So they already got a great start on that year. And we'll have Ernest Graham on here in a little bit to talk about that. But they're doing a heck of a job. But the power of the 5-star, don't take it like they're ranked 10th right now. I don't care where they're ranked. I really don't. I mean, it is kind of important. You kind of want people to go, wow, they were 4th in the country, and that's what a great job they're doing, and that makes people get a buzz about them. But 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, they're all about the same. And in fact, sometimes it's recruiting rankings are not for, they're not always, let me just put it this way. They're never accurate, 100% accurate. But they're not. They are what they are. All I know is they're doing a hell of a job, and you got to give a lot of credit to a lot of people over there, no question about it. Let's go to number 2 on hand loss 3 things, and to do that, we will talk about the Heavener building now. There's a lot of people that deserve a lot of credit, and it starts with Jeremy Foley, whose vision it was to have this building. Now, Jeremy might have been a little behind the times, and there were other schools that got ahead of him, and there's no question about it. Jeremy was very much about people more than facilities, but it finally became a point. I remember the day that he fired Will Muschamp, and I asked him the first question, and it was about facilities, and he said, we don't believe in bells and whistles. Well, they had to start believing in him, and that's what they've got over there. But it is a magnificent, so give him credit. Give Scott Strickland credit for doing all the great things he did to keep it going. Give Chip Howard credit, who was really the guy in charge of it, and has done a tremendous job. Chip, one of the great guys in the world. Give all the donors credit. All these people this was a group project by the Gator Nation. 142,000 square feet, and Napier himself made 39 changes in the original. I read this story by G. Allen Taylor. Really good story. So we've got that, and now there's no more excuses. I mean, there are 0 excuses for anybody in terms of recruiting. Maybe that building is affecting this class already. I think it probably is, but it's definitely they had a great weekend. There's no question about it. Number 3, the AP poll came out. No big surprises here. It's the same top 5 as the coaches. But this is the one that counts. This is the one I pay attention to. Miami's 17th in this one, 16th in the other one. Doesn't really matter. Utah is 7th in this one, 8th in the other one. So they're 7th ranked Utah, and they're playing their first game against number 38th ranked Florida. If you go down the list, Florida got almost no points, and it's really kind of funny that people just are ready to dismiss Florida this year. Look, I'm not going to dismiss them. I want to see them play before I know what they're going to be, but it is what it is. By the way, Tennessee barely missed making the top 25. They were 27th if you go all the way down. Number 4 on the hand-law starting lineup. Florida did have a scrimmage yesterday. The good news is fairly injury-free is what the way that Coach Napier put it. Obviously, we'll talk about that in a little bit about injuries that happen. And he said we're further along. Very physical practice. Another one on Saturday with full SEC officials. So they're not messing around. They want the full crew to do it. And so, that's where I got that stat from his press conference today. He wants to get to a point where they have one penalty every 30 plays. And I'm like, I want to get to a point where we have one penalty every 20 plays. How about starting there? Last year, 104 plays, 911 penalties. That's not right. I wrote that down wrong. 911 plays, 104 penalties. Anyway, there was 1 in 9, basically, penalties per play. You can't do anything like that. It's impossible. And finally, on the hand law starting lineup, and I'm throwing this out to you, the listeners. And look, when I was over in Daytona, amazing the number of people that said they listen to the podcast. I get it from people wherever I go to give these speeches. So I know you're out there. I know you're out there somewhere. That's an old Moody Blues song. But I've been thinking about doing this, and I've wanted to do this for a long time, and I may do it if I can get 9 other people or maybe 7 other people that are interested in doing it. We're not going to do it for money. We'll just do it for prizes. I got prizes I can give away. You know how that is. And that would be a fantasy college football league. So if you're interested in it, email me. That's the only way to do it, because if you email me, patrickdooley54@gmail.com, then I need your email address to put it in. But probably the first 9 that email me on that will get you in, and you can be part of it, and it'll be fun. And look, I'm going to probably beat your butt, because I am a genius when it comes to college football. I am never wrong. We'll see about that. But, yeah, it's just something I want to do, and if you guys want to do it too, that'd be really cool. I'd enjoy doing that. All right, we're going to take another break, and then we'll come back with Ernest Graham. That's going to be a lot of fun. Ernest, of course, one of the great players in Florida history. I think one of the most beloved. Like, maybe that's a list I should do, the most beloved players. I mean, obviously, Danny and Tim and Steve. But then after that, you know, the list is – and Ernest Graham's very high up on that list, and we'll have some great – he'll play Yes, No, Where, Maybe with us, which is right away a reason to make sure you're listening or watching. And we'll get to our other things. Our Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Weekend. Wasn't hard. Hesser and Kipke, 3 things. And, of course, Leonardo's a Millhopper Quick Picks and Pat Dooley's Story Time. All that is coming up. So we'll get Mr. Graham on here in just a minute, and then we'll come back with what should be a lot of fun. Well, I'm looking forward to talking to him, you know, about his son and about that recruitment, and also about his career at Florida and his career in the NFL, and living in Atlanta now, and that's cool. So we'll talk to him then. Anyway, we do need to get a break, so we'll take a break right now, and then we'll come back with Ernest Graham, one of the greats in Gator history, here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
All right, and welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And it was great having Jeffrey out here last Friday. Saw him and were able to talk to him. Well, it was a great time Friday. I mean, it was pretty good. And you know what the best part of that food was? That food was free of charge. But it was really good. It's like I had to not eat too much, so I was kind of like, you know, you probably don't want to. But I did have to take cake home, or cheesecake home for my wife. But anyway, it was a great time. All right, we are going to be joined right now by one of the greatest Gators, and as I said earlier, one of the most beloved Gators of all time. He joins us right now on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line, the great Ernest Graham. Ernest, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good. You're living in Atlanta now, huh?
Yeah, we just moved to Atlanta in December. So after being in Florida, all my life, we decided to make a move, and it's been great for the family, and we're really enjoying it. So we're in the College Park area here in
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Yeah, it's pretty cool up there. Let's talk about a little bit about Miles and what him committing yesterday, which was a big deal. And I mean, I know how it is when you're a dad and you want your kid to go to that school you went to, but
Right.
you don't want to push him too hard.
No, you
Because
don't.
then
No.
he's going to say, "Why'd you make me do that?"
Right. Yeah, he's you know what, he's been very involved in the process. If to know Miles is to know he's a really good communicator. He takes things to heart. I think we kind of pulled off, me and my wife, we kind of pulled off as far as any influence, in going to the University of Florida. Like we made sure we erred, like majorly on the side of caution as far as kind of telling them and directing them, kind of as far as what to do. But we did make sure that we wanted to, really expose him to, all the different environments. I think we've seen, what I'm saying, quite a few of the campuses that, he was, that he was considering. But at the end of the day, the University of Florida has always, spoke to his heart. It's something that he's connected to. It's one thing to, to have a dad that played there and, his sister goes there. But, in terms of what you're connected to is going to speak to you. And he's 1000% connected to the University of Florida, connected to the staff. He loves Gainesville and, he's totally excited. So, we did back off and let him make the decision. It's 100%, his deal, and we're proud of that.
Is his sister? Is she a junior here right now?
She's a sophomore.
Sophomore. Okay.
Yep.
And what's she majoring in?
Nutritional sciences.
Sweet. So,
Yeah.
that was not a hard choice for her either, right? Coming here.
No, it wasn't. It was the same thing. When she was when she was coming out. We didn't really want to push her, and she had she did phenomenally academically. Obviously, to get into the University of Florida these days is not not easy. And it was her top choice all along, and it was as if there wasn't any other options for for them. So
Yep.
we're proud that they're in love with Gator Nation the way that they are, and that it spoke to them even over the years. It spoke to them in individually, each in their own way. I think so. We're really proud of that.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that your son is a linebacker though. I thought you'd want the ball in his hands. I don't.
Yeah, you know what? He does run the ball now. So he's kind of played everything. He's played quarterback. He's running the ball a lot more, this year. And I keep telling him, I was like, be careful, man. They're gonna see you run that football, and and you're gonna be back there running back. So, but he's he's a big kid. He's strong, man. He's 6'1", about 215. So it's natural to him to run the ball. He runs with authority. So we'll see how it works out. But he's done very well. He naturally loves defense, man. He loves to be on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that's where he wants to play. But as things sometimes take on their own, take their own energy.
Let me ask you this, Ernest, because that's what everybody's talking about, the new building opening up yesterday. Not all of it's open, but some of it. But how much did that have an influence on him?
It had a big influence. You know what? I will say that I saw his I saw his energy change. Because he was, was definitely, wanting to go, and that's where he was leaning. And then, we toured the facility, and I did see his energy change after that trip. And, I was talking to a couple coaches about it, just about how big a deal, that is, and how it's especially a big deal at the University of Florida. And I haven't really had, that kind of, I don't want to say commitment, but that kind of commitment to a facility like that. Right. So, it would be big anywhere else, but it's that much bigger at the University of Florida that we now have that facility. We're already a place that could recruit and do well, and it's a special place. But on top of that, to have that facility now, after so many years, I think it's phenomenal, and it made a huge difference to him. So, we're thankful that is there.
Well, they like to use that quote that you have to, if you play at Florida, you have to walk 48 miles to practice and back.
Right.
I mean, I know it was kind of an inconvenience for you guys, but you probably never even
Yeah.
thought about anything else. I mean, it wasn't even a big deal because nobody was
Yeah.
building a facility for you.
No, we didn't. I do remember, when I was, first coming, and they were doing some renovations at the time, but we were kind of lifting up the ramp, in the stadium, all the weights and everything, and we're kind of outside, and we just had to do what we had to do. I do think today's kids are definitely more aware, kind of what everybody else has. Kids that are Florida natives, they're more aware of, the entire United States maps and all the colleges more than we ever were. When we were growing up, it was, it's Florida State, Miami. You didn't really think too much out of the state. So I do think in terms of that competitive environment, I do think that it's great that that we have it now. So.
Well, we are, by the way, we are at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill right now, and he told me to make sure, because he was on the show earlier, to make sure that that I said hello from him to you. Okay?
Man, that's awesome.
You haven't been here yet, have you?
I have not.
We got to get you down here.
I would love to. I pass by, I hear a lot about it, so I would definitely love to.
Well,
come by.
you still got some time before Miles gets into
right.
So, but I know everybody's excited about him coming here. Legacies are important, I think, for a lot of people. All right. Before we let you go, we have this game we play. It's called Yes, No Way, or Maybe. It's brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks.
Okay.
We're street dining done right. And if you go to Big Mills and you tell them you listen to another Dooley Noted podcast, you get free French fries with your order, just so you know that. So you can go there too,
all right,
when you're back in town. Number one, Florida wins the national championship if you're healthy in 2001, the entire season.
Yes.
No doubt about that, right?
Yes, no question.
It
was tough being on the sidelines. And every time, there's a tweet, or every time, there's just a discussion that comes up, and man, it's that realization is tough. We did miss one that year.
Did Darnell Dockett really hurt you?
He really twisted me up down there. You know what I mean? Like I'm not the guy that like to harp on it and to be going in, and kind of I've seen him over the years, and we're kind of over it. But did that happen? Yeah, it happened. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was on the bottom of the pile and I was kind of pinned down, and he grabbed my knee and did the whole twist to it. I mean, you got to be really. I mean, I've been at the bottom of piles before, and a lot of things happen at the bottom of piles. It is what it is. But so you remember, and I just remember thinking, like, man, you got to be pretty strong to get that done. You know what I mean? It happened. Yeah.
And I rooted against him the rest of his career, so he had that going against him. All right, number two on Yes, No Way, or Maybe, presented by Big Mills Cheesesteaks. You could have played Division I basketball.
Yes. Yes, I hear it all the time.
I saw you play, man. I saw you play down at Cape Coral.
Yeah, basketball and baseball. I don't know if people know that I got drafted in baseball as well, and I did turn down a possibility of going at the end of the first round to play football at the University of Florida, and baseball. I was actually supposed to play baseball at the University of Florida. I just ended up not happening. But definitely. So I was definitely a 3-sport athlete, man. I played 5 sports growing up. My mom kept me busy, all the time. And I just always been really good at developing skills, man. So, all across the board, I had some success, in those three major sports for sure.
Wow. You had this high arcing jumper that would go way up.
Yeah, it would touch.
But you would make them. I mean, it was unbelievable because I was there to see Dupé,
Yeah.
Because he was breaking the record, Corciani's record. But then I'm going, Ernest Graham can play, man. He's pretty good. I can't wait.
I appreciate it.
Football, yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We had some good teams, over those couple of years. So we had phenomenal coaches. We had some legendary coaches actually, and so that I think also playing with Ted, brought out a different mindset and a different skill set. You know what I mean? So I always say he was kind of doing what all these guys are doing now, like kind of long before that, the way he played. And it kind of inspired some confidence in the rest of us,
All right, finally on Yes, No Way, or Maybe, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteaks. Florida will have a 1,000-yard rusher this year. They haven't had one since Kelvin Taylor. It's been a long
Yes.
time.
I would say yes. I'm not trying to be just a yes guy, be ultra positive about it, but I do think so. I do think there'll be a staunch commitment, to the running game and playing a physical, style of football. Hopefully we see some multiple, tight end sets to get, so a good mixture of pro style and the way guys, play today. So I'm excited just to kind of see, where this all goes. But I do think we'll have a 1,000-yard rusher. But I do think there will be a committee approach that could, possibly, keep it back a shade under that, so, but I would, if I was a betting man, I'd say yes, for sure.
I still, Dameon Pierce could have been if they gave him the ball more than 6 times a game.
Oh man, you know what? All you got to do is see that kid, see his build, see.
And now he's killing it with the Texans in the NFL.
Yeah, you see, he runs with a different energy, man, and it is a surprise that you could ignore that. It's very obvious. Like you don't have to see him run the ball 2 times to know that. He's quite a running back, man. So it's a little different than when I played. We didn't run the ball a ton, right. But there was a commitment to it, and they needed it. So that's different. Like they needed him to be running that football last year. So
there's a lot of things they need, including
penalties.
Fewer penalties, more interceptions, less interceptions thrown. There's a lot.
No question.
Ernest, I could talk to you all day, man, but I appreciate you taking the time, and I know you got to get out to practice in a little bit. You're working with your son's team, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm helping out. I'm helping out with the running back, special teams, and we live really right across the street from the campus. So I wanted to be a dad and kind of sit in the stands, and it ended up. It calls you. You know what I mean. So I go out and help where I can, and
is that something you want to? Do you want to do? Do you want to do that as a profession?
I don't know, man. I do think, I know my son in 2 years he'll be graduating, so I do know some things will rise to the surface, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
All right. Well, we can't wait to get him on campus. Knowing you, I know he's a great kid. And anything you need, you call us and let us know if you need any help down here. We're right here for you down here in Gainesville.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
And thank you so much. And you've always been great. We'll get you on during the season, maybe later in the season, to talk about what's going on with the Gators.
Okay, man. Thank you you've been through all the years, man. It's great to talk to you again.
Appreciate it, Ernest. Thanks a lot.
All right. Later.
Ernest Graham, one of the great Gators of all time. And like I said, one of the most beloved. People love him. And you heard it from the horse's mouth. Darnell Dockett did that on purpose, okay? Not that any of us questioned that whether it was on purpose or not. We all knew it was. But, some people still try to deny it. I'm still mad about it, to be honest with you. All right, it's time for our Adams Ribco to go, Gator of the Weekend. And this was an easy choice for me because I watched a lot of the game. Young Kyle Trask is our Gator of the Weekend because he was a player of the game. Now, if you didn't watch the game, he was something like 22 of 27. He did throw a pick, but he was really good. The dime he threw for a touchdown was an amazing throw. Just handled himself well. They had a lot of throws. They threw the ball underneath a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. If you say underthrows, then it means you didn't throw it far enough, right? But anyway, he really played well, and they would have won the game, except he drove them down there in the last minute to kick a field goal to win the game, and tried to count on a hurricane kicker. Yeah, that's not going to happen. You can't win with that. And Borregales missed it, hit the upright. But I was literally watching the game, and I was telling myself, I'm kind of conflicted here. I want Kyle to drive him down and get a field goal, but I don't like the Bucks, and I don't want the Miami kicker to make it. So anyway, when he missed it, I was okay. But think about that. Now Kyle's got the greatest honor he's ever had. He's been a Heisman finalist. He's won all kinds of awards, but now he is the Adams Ribco to go Gator of the Weekend. And there were a lot to choose from. A lot of guys in the NFL doing really good things. Damian Pierce had a huge game. Drives me crazy. Kyrie Elam was good. He actually got hurt, but he's okay. It turns out it's just a precautionary to take him out, but he looked great. So that was great to see. All right. It is time for our for three things, brought to you as always by Hesser and Kipke, and we appreciate Hesser and Kipke. And by the way, we're gonna have to work some things around with Robbie on Mondays. His time has changed, but we'll get him on a lot of these yes, no, where, maybes. But you're not gonna do better than Ernest Graham, okay? No offense, Robbie. Hesser and Kipke. Three Things is brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation, specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. I know that Ken and Jennifer, I think, both played golf with Todd Golden this weekend. And he texted me about it, and because I'm introducing him or interviewing him. I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing, but I'm doing something out at the Emerald Coast Gator Club. They always have a coach, and it's Todd Golden, which is cool. I'm looking forward to kind of get to know him a little bit out there. It's a fun club, a great club. I love those guys, as is this one, Fighting Gators Touchdown Club. I'm wearing their shirt proudly today. It's almost here. That makes me feel like football season. I put this shirt on, I go, it's time for those Tuesday night speeches. Anyway. All right. Number one on Hesser and Kipke's Three Things. You know my saying, there's no good news during fall camp. There never is. Now, again, there's good news when you get a recruiting weekend like you had, but out of fall camp, I'm just talking about specifically. Now, certainly it was good news that the Heavener building opened up. That's good news. But I'm talking about football, never good news. So far, it's been no bad news for Florida. Don't worry about the good news, because good news is probably jaded with expectations. But you see it happening all over the country. Texas, 2 starters, knee injuries. One of them is for sure an ACL, done for the year. That happened. Notre Dame, one of their best receivers, is out for the year, it looks like. So injuries are going to happen. We all know this is college football. I remember the day I was actually speaking over in Pensacola that day, and the day Cornelius Ingram went down, you went, oh, no, that's terrible. And you're trying to find out the story from long distance. Now, did it hurt Florida's team? Not really, although CI was a tremendous player, and they would have been that much better. But you never know. And so you hope you get through it. Now, Florida's having another scrimmage on Saturday. So you hope to get through those scrimmages. But don't forget, Dominique Easley and Kyle Trask, and I could go through a whole litany of guys who got hurt in practice with no contact. It just happens. So you just hope you get through it. The other news and we'll have a lot of news, and again, none of it will be good going forward. Timmy Mclean, you remember him, the quarterback at USF, played against Florida last year, started 9 games for them, has decided he is gone. He's in the transfer portal. And Miles Brennan, who just a couple of years ago was a successor to Joe Burrow, and they felt like he was ready. He was going to be their guy. Then he got hurt. He had some kind of a stomach issue. He pulled a muscle or something there, and really hasn't played at all since that happened. And was in a 3-way battle for the job there, but they told him, I guess Brian Kelly told him, it's not going to be you, okay? And Miles Brennan said, I'm done. I'm going somewhere else. Most people do. He said, I'm done with football. This is where I wanted to play my whole life. His family is part of the Brennan legacy of New Orleans, the great restaurants and everything, and obviously they're everywhere. That was his dream, and it didn't work out, and he just ready to cut it loose. And maybe he's still being injured, but those are the kind of news stories that come out this time of year. They're never good, okay? Number 2 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 Things. I've watched a lot of preseason football this weekend. It was a lot of fun to watch. but I don't. What one game I did watch was the Bears game, which wasn't that much fun to watch because the field looked like FSU's field did in '96. Bart Emerson tore his ACL on it. Which was terrible, and this was terrible. Apparently, there was an Elton John concert 8 days ago, and it hasn't recovered. The NFLPA has filed a grievance about how it wasn't an acceptable field. You know, these are the kind of stories that come out in the preseason. But there was a lot of good. It was a lot of fun to watch some preseason games because there were more players, and especially watching Kyle Trask play that whole game. And finally, number 3. Probably one of the funnest things to watch, most fun things to watch was Will Zalatoris finally breaking through and getting the win. Now, the knock on Will Zalatoris is he's a great ball striker, and he is. In fact, I think I picked him to win a major this year, but he couldn't putt, and he never made big putts. And so in a playoff, he makes a side hill putt to win, and when he does, he screams very loud, "What are they going to say now?" Well, we still say you're not that good a putter, but you were a good putter that week. But he did win a big tournament, the FedEx in the FedEx Cup, and we'll see where he goes from here. But that was interesting. Also, Cameron Smith, who we talked about last week, Scotty Scheffler walking in his line because he's about to sign with LIV, and that's going to happen. Pulled out with a hip injury, which makes you wonder if he said, "You know what? I'm tired of people yelling at me because that was going on. I don't want any part. I don't have to play on this tour anymore. I'm going to go play on the LIV and make all the money in the world and never have to play good again," which is what it is. That's what it is. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. We had some qualifiers. George Luttrell, I did get you your package should be arriving tomorrow. So he was the last winner. We're going to get another winner. Look, we're doing the Mets at the Braves 4-game series. Now, obviously, a lot of you don't listen until Tuesday, or maybe you don't listen until, Tuesday. Maybe you don't listen till Wednesday. But it's a 4-game series. Tell me what it's going to be. 3-1, 4-0, 0-4, 1-3, 2-2. You can say it's pretty simple. And if you get it in by, I'll let you wait till Wednesday morning to get it in because it probably be 1-1 at that point. So whichever way you go, whatever way you want to go. I'm trying to get more qualifiers than ever. I want a bunch because I appreciate you guys and appreciate, of course, Leonardo's. I was just over there the other day. Going to play golf on Saturday with Kyle in a tournament. It'll be fun. Sarah's birthday tournament. We got a loaded team, except me. I'm the weak link. So our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Pick. 4-game series, Mets and Braves. As long as you have it in by Wednesday morning, PatrickDooley54@gmail.com, you're fine, okay? All right, finally here on the shoe. And thanks to Tammy for producing. Evan did the first half and she did the second half. It's kind of cool. Flawless, seamless transition. Pat Dooley story time. I'm going to tell you one here. This is one of my favorite stories. Brought to you, by the way, by Eastlake Pediatrics. We certainly appreciate Eastlake Pediatrics for being a sponsor. All of our sponsors are so great. We love them. All right, so there was a woman that was a close friend of ours, and she was doing this charity thing for her, and her son had, I think it was her son, had died of SIDS, and they were doing this big thing. They did it every year, and it was great. And she was a great person. Really liked her a lot. I got itchy nose for some reason. All right, so they've got all these people to do this thing, and they got Bates is willing to do anything. James Bates is willing to do anything. But this is Urban's first year, I think. Urban's first year, and they said, "Hey, here's something good. You get in the trunk of the car and you pop out with a trophy or something. How about that?" And Urban said, "I don't do funny." I said, "Man, does that wrap up Urban Meyer in a nutshell? I don't do funny." I started thinking about it. I don't remember him ever laughing I remember him smiling. It was always a wry smile, like I've got you. Look, Urban and I got along great when he was here. There's no doubt about it. But I don't remember him ever laughing. He did tell one joke at our golf tournament one year that nobody laughed at. The sense of humor, the timing wasn't there. But he's a great football coach. We all know that. So that is my Pat Dooley story time for today. Urban, I don't do funny. He didn't. He probably still doesn't. All right, that's going to do it for the show. I had a great time doing it. I could do a show with Steve Spurrier and Ernest Graham every day. But I know that on Friday, the show is going to be a half hour later to start because I'm getting back from Pensacola and I don't want to push too much. Speaking there Thursday night, Friday we'll be back. So it'll be 2:30 start for those of you who watch it live. Otherwise, you don't care about that. And Carlos Alvarez will be our special guest. Can't wait for that. Look forward to it. And then we'll be back next week with the ball coach, and we'll have some more great guests, and we'll be that much closer to football season. Woohoo! Can't wait. All right. Until next time, I am Pat Dooley, and I appreciate all of our sponsors, all of our producers, and all of the people who watch and listen to this podcast. I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here.